All right, welcome in everyone to our housing internship program session about navigating offer day. My name is Spencer Giese. I'm a educational program manager at ACUHO-I. I also am our professional staff member that oversees the internship program. So if we've had a chance to chat using the purple chat icon on your web browser or via email over the past few months, so glad you could be here today. And I'm going to pass it over to our esteemed committee members who are going to be leading our session.
Thanks, Spencer. Hi, everyone. My name is Megan Chabanga, and I am the Director of Residence Life and Student Housing at the University of New Mexico. Lauren Murphy is going to join us at some point during the session, but she got to give credit where credit's due. Lauren has been leading the charge with the Housing Internship Committee this year, and we're so lucky to have her. So just a quick overview of where we are, and all right, screen went a little funny, but it's all right. So what we're going to do today is we will spend some time talking with some fabulous panelists about the offer day process. As a quick orientation for us as to who is in the room, using the response icons down at the bottom of like thumbs up, or you can raise your hand. We just want to get a gauge of who is in the room with us. So if you are a candidate who is looking for a position this summer, could you make yourself known by either raising, doing a positive response icon in some version? All right. Fabulous. And then if you are an employer, could you make yourself known? All right. Well, that actually may tailor this conversation a little bit more specifically, which is wonderful. And so we'll really focus on what it is like for candidates to experience offer day and recommendations and tips from our panelists for candidates going through offer day. So that is spectacular. All right, so just as a reminder of where we are right now in the process, we are in between the start of interviews beginning and when actual offer day is. As a reminder, offers can begin on March 8th, so just one short week from today. If you haven't already started doing interviews, or you haven't already gotten a chance to get into your portal, I do highly recommend making sure that you are actively engaged in the portal, making sure that you're viewing positions. Don't be shy. If there's a job you want, reach out, connect with that employer. Be bold, ask for an interview, and go from there. So please, 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 if you haven't taken a peek yet at the internship portal, do make sure you're doing that. There are a lot of positions available this year. And so it's a really great opportunity for you to be taking a look and taking a chance and putting yourself out there with a school that maybe you wouldn't have thought would be somewhere you want to. Like, it's a great opportunity to put yourself out there and take an experience at a school that might be really different from the experiences you currently have. Build your portfolio and make yourself all that much more marketable later on in that job search process. All right, we are now going to introduce our panelists. I'm expecting one more to join us. As we all know, the world gets a little crazy, and so their day may have gotten a little bit beyond their control. But we do have with us Ryan Patrick Telemontes from the University of Texas at Austin, Hook 'em Horns. And we have Thomas Armstrong with us from Berklee College of Music. And with that, I'm going to just sort of keep us on track, but this is really a wonderful opportunity for you to engage with our panelists. And I've got some starter questions here for us, but those are in no means the only questions we can talk about today. So um, I'm going to turn it over and let our panelists answer the first question that we have, which is how to organize myself to be prepared for offer day.
I could kick us off if that's okay. It's always that awkward silence between who wants to unmute first. Thank you, Megan, for the introduction. Thomas Armstrong, he, they series pronouns from Berkeley. This is a really exciting opportunity for me. I've overseen Berkeley's ACUHO-I process for 2 years and did my ACUHO-I internship at the lovely San Francisco Art Institute. And it was a fantastic experience. When it comes to organizing yourself, I think it's really important if you're a tactile person to have something written down. If you're a visual person, a spreadsheet, that's what I would do. And just organize it in a way that reflects what you want most out of your experience. A traditional higher ed individual might say, do what's going to teach you the most. And for me, I'm kind of the one who pushes self-care. And I like to say, choose the one that you're going to have the most fun at and have the most memorable experience. That's my quick 2 bits. Ryan.
Yes, thank you, Megan and Thomas. My name is Ryan Patrick Talamontes. I use he, him, L pronouns, and I'm over here at UT Austin with my lovely background. For me, so my experience, similar to Thomas, I've been running the ACUHO-I process here at UT Austin for a little bit of 2 years. So I'm going on trying to get my second cohort right now. Or in the process of getting my second cohort. I have a fun experience that I did my ACUHO-I internship here at UT Austin when I was a graduate student coming from Texas Tech University. And previously I was at Texas A&M Commerce when I was in the undergrad through the ACUHO-I process. So I did it twice, loved it twice, which is why when I was given the opportunity to start running this process, I said, give it to me. I'm so excited. I want to go in this direction and make some great changes to it. For me, I think similar to Thomas, I think it's about really navigating what is best for you and what you need for it. For me, it was a spreadsheet with all information. I'm very much I need the data kind of person, and I needed it all written out for me. For some of our ACUHO-I coordinators that we have here, it was more of like, let me have my notebook and let me write down every quality or everything. I think for me as a host, I think what is most beneficial to me or what I appreciate the most is when the candidates are prepared for any final questions that they may have. What is going to push them to accept my offer? What potentially could push them to decline my offer? And having those questions, because for us, as it is for the candidates, we have to make some very quick decisions, and we always don't necessarily have the time to have 100 phone calls back and forth. We love them. I appreciate them. I encourage them. But if a candidate does have those final questions for me, that really is helpful. And I think that writing them all down and really knowing what they're looking for in the experience, I think has really helped me. Even when I was doing the ACUHO-I process, I had these are my final questions that I now feel comfortable asking the real question, right? Sometimes during our interview, I wasn't asking the real question because I was I hope they don't take away, which I hope no institution would ever do, something or look negatively based on the question I'm asking. But now that you've given me the offer, I'm going to ask the question that I need to ask. And so I think that that's important for our candidates, or for what I look for in a candidate. I really do appreciate it.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, I'm a little late. My name's Angel Madrigal. I use they, them pronouns. I am an assistant director for residential life at Yale. So how do I organize and prepare myself for offer day? For me, I think very similarly to what was previously mentioned, getting organized in an Excel document was like my lifesaver. I had a pretty extensive thing where I was like, here's the institution, here's the date I've interviewed, what is their package, and then like essentially like just everything that goes along with that information. And then I think for me it was also understanding like what I wanted to get out of the experience. And then similarly, I guess it kind of really fell along with that whole like making sure I had the end questions of like, okay, I didn't get to ask these questions during the interview process because either the interview was really quick, or I also didn't want to get any sort of impact from my tougher questions or perceived tougher questions. And then really getting that time to ask those questions. And then also, I think I was very intentional on ensuring that, you know, as soon as it hits 12, that's when it all starts happening, and it starts happening really quickly, which can be really anxiety inducing. And so for me, it was being very intentional on like planning that time to be away and like make sure people knew, okay, this is I'm not around, I'm not available. And that was really helpful. As I was getting the calls, it was kind of nice for me, it was like being in my bed with my cat and like just being calm in that space. And then knowing that I had a rank of like, okay, this is my top, and this is kind of like my list. And then also, even if I got like my top call like right away, making sure to take time to say, okay, like thank you so much, I really appreciate this. Like I know we get like I think it's 48 hours, 24 hours. Yeah, so taking that time to say, okay, I will get back to you, because I wanted to know what were going to be all of my offers. And then that was really helpful as personally like a good self-esteem boost to say, okay, great, like I got all of these, like yay, that makes me feel really nice. And I think that was really helpful for me personally. And then it also helped with, as I was getting those offers, being able to say like, oh, like I know that there was no flexibility at the time, but now I'm a candidate you want. Is there more flexibility with this? And being able to negotiate a little bit more. Some places there's no negotiating, which is okay, but some places they're a little bit more flexible, and so that was really nice. And they were able to either give a different compensation or provide an additional opportunity. And so that was really helpful for me. But yeah, I think having water with you, taking a breath, you forget to breathe when you're nervous. Like, I don't know, that was me. That was like my biggest thing, is I got really nervous and forgot to breathe and to drink water that day. So I always tell people, even in general interviews, like drink water, breathe. It's okay.
I will also add, setting up boundaries is so important if you're in a like cohort model and your friends are also going through the ACUHO-I process, because we always like, we love a good timeline, right? Like I think ACUHO-I last year was during the big conference and events, actual like national conference, and so like all of us were running out of sessions to like make calls to candidates. But I remember when I was a candidate, like all of my friends that were in my same higher ed program all started texting on the group me like, hey, I got an offer. Hey, I got my #1 offer. And while that's really exciting and really, I want to celebrate them, it did not feel good for someone who hadn't received an offer yet. And so I think at Texas Tech now, they really, really encourage, because we've had some like fun things that like were not fun. And so I think like making sure that you have people outside of higher ed that you're, using as like a sounding board, or your mentors you're talking to, right? Because you won't always receive that call at noon. And sometimes institutions are waiting because, they have to clear it through their HR, and it doesn't have anything to do with you're not their top candidate. It's just that there's a process that has to be done. And so I would say, like, really make sure you have someone outside of the ACUHO-I process that can help you, and that can be there for you. Because at the time, I didn't know I had anxiety. Since learned, wow, there's anxiety, have found it. And so making sure that you have someone.
I think too, just a couple really small things in terms of getting yourself organized. Um, if you have a goofy voicemail, that's cool. But like, make sure that that's the voicemail you want potential employers to get. And then the other thing, if you haven't checked your voicemail in the last 487 days and it is full, check it and empty it. Because you don't want to miss a call from from an employer just because you hadn't emptied your voicemail. Um, take those things perhaps from experience or not. Those are like just two really small things that, as you're thinking about setting up for the day, can really set you up for success as well. From the folks in the room, does anybody have any questions about, like, is this getting ready for the offer day process getting a little overwhelming or a little scary? And is there anything that any questions specifically that folks have for the panelists on this topic?
I will also say, as scared as you all are, we're just as scared. Like, we want you just as much as you want us. Like, it's a two-way. So we're calling over there like, please accept our offer. So like, it's a two-way thing. So like, just know that it's okay to be nervous because we're just as nervous.
So agree. All right, well, let's jump to the next question that we had. Oh, there we go. So what kind of tips do you have for our candidates on how to actually evaluate the offers? Like what to look for, what to think about, what questions to ask? Ryan, I know you talked about making sure you have those final questions. What, maybe some examples of what those are for you all?
Okay, I'll do it again. I'll start. Again, I like to facilitate a very holistic and trauma-informed internship process. And so for me, what I would love from candidates is to go into the summer thinking from a self-care point of view, what am I going to need to be my most authentic self and to be able to take care of myself the best way possible? And so I would strongly recommend asking, what are the on-call structures and what do they look like? Not just like how often am I on call, but who is above me, who's calling me, who are the campus partners I can talk with while I'm navigating various crises. What are some things that employers do post on call schedules? Do they offer a day off? What does it look like to say hey, I just dealt with a really strong incident. Can someone tap in for me? I think it's really important to talk about those self-care components and how employers take care of you while you're taking care of our students. I think that's super important. I'll let Ryan tag in next.
I was really hoping you didn't tag me in next because I'm still thinking. I think for me, when I was a candidate, was having a real, we give you the 24 hours to really make a decision of if it's right for you. And when I was a candidate the first time, there was a school that reached out to me, and the second they made an offer, I was like, no, it's like, I know in the bottom of my heart, this is not the right institution for me. And that was really challenging because I was like, if I say no to this school and no one else calls, like I might have nothing to do for the summer, but I ultimately like knew in the bottom of my heart, like I wasn't going to get the support that I needed from that institution. And luckily, like, you know, the next day a different institution was able to make me an offer. And so I think realistically, when you're having that phone conversation, you'll know like, okay, like this is a maybe, or this is a yes, or unfortunately, like this is a no. And I think it's important that you listen to your inner thoughts about like what that could be. I think for the questions, last year, one of my ACUHO-I coordinators asked me one of the toughest questions I think I've ever gotten is like, what does the diversity look like in the cohort that you have offered to today? And great question. Love that question because we want to make sure that we have diversity in our cohort model because diversity is important. But it's a difficult question to ask because everyone is deciding whether or not they come. And so I was like, I can tell you the individuals that we've made offers to, but that doesn't mean that that's going to be what we end with because of the 24-hour process. And obviously, like at one point, I think they were bold enough to be like, "Can I have their name so I can look them up on Facebook?" And I was like, "Oh no, that's not happening. That's not happening at all." But like to be realistic with them and be like, "This is what diversity is looking like in our cohort model." I think was important for them to ask. And then I think it's just like the big asset Thomas had kind of mentioned, like the what does on call look like, right? Because some of our students that are coming in are not from housing programs, and so they don't have on-call experience, and we have to walk them through like this is genuinely what it looks like. Like you don't need to be scared because I think during my cohort while I was here, one of the individuals unfortunately had never worked in housing and thought like when you had the phone, you had to stay up the entire night. And so she came into work and she's like, I haven't slept. And I said, oh, my God, like, what is going on? Like, no, you can sleep. And so like it's having those realistic conversations, I think helped me evaluate my offers and ask those tougher questions. Don't be scared of questions. At this point, if the institution is being weird about answering the questions and is unrealistic with the questions or giving you the runaround with the answers, I think it's probably a good thing that like perhaps that's not the right institution for you. You will be able to tell if they are being genuine with you and giving you a realistic answer. Like when I gave, you know, my candidate oh my gosh, I cannot tell you their names, so you can look them up on Facebook, but I can tell you here's what it looks like.
I would say for me, some of the questions that I've gotten from candidates revolve around like, what does living at the institution looks like, whether that be like any sort of accommodations that are provided, but also like the surrounding area. Safety is always a concern. And I think that's like personally for me, that's something as well that I was like really interested in when I was going to it as a candidate. So I love to ask like, okay, like what did it look like? What are the things going on campus or off campus that I should know about as someone who's going to be living there for the summer? But then also I really wanted to know like what does the community look like? For example, like I want to know like, is there a good is this a safe place for me to like be in and walk around, or is that like am I going to be trapped on campus? And so that was something that was important for me to know. And then like on a more lighter note, I want to know like food. Like I was like, okay, I'm gonna be in a new place, new city. Tell me about the food. What are the options? What are the fun social opportunities to engage with off campus? Because in the lens of like what Thomas mentioned, taking care of yourself means like going away from campus and doing things outside of your job requirements. And so like I wanted to know those things. Those were really important to me. And then transportation. I didn't have a car, and the assistantship also did not provide provide an opportunity to bring a car. And so I was like, okay, how am I going to be able to get around? Is there like public transportation, things like that? So that was something that was really important to me as well.
I also want to add, thinking about, what programs are your institutions serving? So, we talked about diversity in the cohorts you're going to be working with, but also like, what are these programs? Are they pre-college programs? Or at Berkeley, they're not necessarily a pre-college program, but just kind of random music programs that are existing through the summer to heighten individuals' skills, crafts, and artistry. And while for some of the programs we do see a heavy pipeline of summer camp to academic year, there's also just large portions of individuals from all over the world who just kind of randomly come this summer. And so I think it's really important to think about what experience do you want? And that's also asking like, who are the individuals we are serving in this role?
I will also say, because fortunately or unfortunately, like things change during the time that you are beginning your process and you are accepting your process, and making sure that you're asking like, have any big things changed with this position? I know for us this year, we had a very dramatic change in the compensation in the positive direction, just to be clear. And last year, during the middle of the process, we were also creating a pet policy for our ACUHO-I coordinators because we had never had anyone ask that. And someone asked it during their first round, and then we made the policy by the time we were able to offer. But like, I have a lot of things in this brain that I have to think about. And sometimes like, I can't remember to mention the thing until someone asks me like, has something changed? Is this position the same? Because there's only so much that we can write on the ACUHO-I website. I'd love to make like a whole web page of like what it's like to be here. But unfortunately, like we also want to make sure that we're giving you a little snippet to make your decision. And so I think that's important to ask if anything has changed, because sometimes it does.
Are there any undergrads on the call who are searching for an internship this summer? Pause and not seeing any. I think there's a really awesome opportunity. So if any undergrads watch this recording, I'm going to say it anyway. I think there's a really awesome opportunity for undergrads who are searching for an ACUHO-I internship to utilize this experience to ask the questions that you're not sure if those are the questions that are going to matter most to you as you maybe look to a future grad or full-time position. This is an opportunity to test out questions and evaluate, did I get the information that I needed in order to be successful in that place for 8 to 12 weeks? Because if I didn't get the information that I needed to be successful for a short timeline, how do I need to think about that question differently for when I'm searching for a full-time job and I have that offer on the table and want to ask the questions that I'm about to move my whole life to, for a longer period of time. So this is definitely an opportunity to test out and weigh out what things really matter to you and are really important for you.
I would also say like, talk to the institutions, even if they aren't able, like I know last year we had an undergraduate candidate, and unfortunately our program is for graduate level professionals. And so, but we talk to him constantly and are still messaging him, even though he was not who we ended up like choosing, because we weren't even able to offer him a first round interview because they didn't qualify for the position. But I think that like keeping that connection and continuing that connection, I would say we have a graduate student that just graduated, and they unfortunately weren't able to choose our institution, but we continue to build that connection based on the conversations that we've had. And so for our undergrad students, I have loved the connections we've been able to build, even if we aren't able to be their hosted site.
I want to echo and amplify that, and including our graduate students. These are great opportunities for you to just network with individuals and institutions as well. Should you not want to continue with a process for one institution, but you really enjoy talking to those professionals, this is still an opportunity to stay connected with them. Boston's the home of like hundreds of universities and colleges. If there's something you want and you weren't able to find that at Berkeley, let me know, because again, there's so many institutions out there. And while there's so many institutions, higher ed is still a small field, and we all kind of like know each other somehow, or know someone who knows each other. And so stay connected and get to know your institutions.
All right. Um,
I'll jump in with just an additional point. If you're concerned about your offers or lack of offers or wherever you're at, once you get past offer day, I will, as kind of the ACUHO-I entity, I'll be reaching out to both host sites and candidates to try to compile a list of folks who about a week after offer day are still anxiously looking. Candidates, there are more positions than there are candidates. It's a candidate market. So truly, if you are flexible with your dates and you are, reflecting and doing a great job interviewing, or maybe getting feedback on interviews as you continue to grow in the process, there's an internship out there for you. It just really depends on your flexibility. If you've got a very small area of the world that you're willing to do an internship in, and a really small area of expertise you're willing to work in, okay. But if you're open-minded and willing to go somewhere new and try something new, there's an internship out there for sure for you.
couldn't agree more, Spencer. All right, we're going to give you a little bit of insider info, considering there's no employers on the call, but all of our panelists are employers. And so if you all just want to share a little bit about what it is like for you all as an employer to extend the offer, and what sort of goes on in your head in those initial conversations with candidates.
I was really hoping Thomas would go first. For us, for me, there's a lot of things like we talked about, like there's a lot of things that are going through my head of, I'm nervous that everyone's going to say no to me. I don't want to feel rejection anymore. Right. And then I have to think about like, why are all these people rejecting me? Like, is there something wrong that I'm not seeing? And looking and thinking about like, and asking, why are, like, if you could help me, like, please let me know why you're turning this down so that we can evaluate it. Last year we got really great feedback on our compensation package was wildly inappropriate. And I said, wow, that's really nice phrasing of that. And so I took that and used it to get our compensation package to where it is now. And it was because that person was, willing to be vulnerable and tell me. I think for us, I have, just like we said for the candidates, I have everything ready to go. I have the emails ready to go. I have the phone call ready to go. Last year, we had all of the people that helped us interview calling candidates. This year, it's just me, myself, and I. And so I've been informing candidates on the second round that they may receive an email before they receive a phone call. Which, I like to call people more. I like to hear people's voices than send an email. But I think it's having all of those things prepped and ready to go so that you can make the best offer. I would also say for me, what I have found helpful is looking at my overall candidate and thinking about, for us, we do a cohort model of 6 to 8. And so I have to think about, like, are these individuals going to be able to really work successfully together, and will they be able to support each other as best they can? At the end of the day, I'm still here in Texas, and Texas has fun laws that restrict what I can and cannot do. But I think that it's important for me to be able to see the whole list and be able to make a informed decision on that, and be willing to, answer those questions. And my supervisor, he knows, like, on decision day, he's on standby just in case I have a question I don't know the answer to and I need to quickly get it over to HR to see if we can make an accommodation, or if there's that request for us. But I also think, I don't know, enjoying the day as best we can, because it is an exciting day for us as hosts. Because we are, creating these individuals are committing to us to come to campus for the summer. which is exciting. And then really prepping the rest, preparing for their arrival, I think is the next part for us.
I think Ryan said something extremely valuable. Well, I mean, all of it was valuable, but something that really stuck out to me was the phone call and an email. I think that's just something everyone should do, embody, and include a lot of information in. I remember being a candidate and being extremely stressed out during this process. And so recognizing that you can send the email after the phone call or before the phone call, and allow candidates the time to just like read it, process it, include in there what does it look like for onboarding, training, next steps, and you give them an opportunity like, okay, you've received your offer, take some time to read it. If you've got questions, call me back. Really give them as much information as you can so individuals can process that, think about what they might need, and offer opportunities to call and ask clarifying questions.
All right. So now let's talk about the how do I say no? So how do we gracefully turn down an offer? Thanks, no thanks, bye.
Sorry, Thomas, go ahead.
No, please, you go.
Yeah, so I think kindly, uh, we've already envisioned you on our team. You're part of like the dream team that we've came up with. So we are going to be very upset and cry as we get the no's and feel that sense of rejection. But I would say definitely focus in on, because I think most of us will be asked a follow-up question like, oh, like give us some feedback on like why you aren't choosing us. So just think about that as you're, or before you're kind of saying the no, just so you have that information ready. But I think it can be really simple as long as saying, oh, like I've accepted a different offer that better fit kind of what I was looking for. And for me, I think simple is always nice. And then just following up with like why at the end of like, oh, okay, like this is what led me to this place versus this place. And no one's gonna have hard feelings afterwards. Like I think most of us, especially if we really enjoyed you as a candidate, will always be thinking about like, oh, like if this person ever runs past our dashboard, they were a great candidate and I wanted them. So of course I'm gonna give them another opportunity and hopefully get them this time, So don't think that there's gonna be like animosity with saying no. Yeah, that's kind of my feedback.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I keep it simple. Be nice, please. Be nice to us. But also, like Angel said, we want to kind of hear like where you're going. Like I'm a champion for you all, and so I'm excited to hear whatever opportunity you pick. That's going to be exciting, and I'm glad you're choosing the opportunities you're choosing. Like it hurts a little that we're not chosen. I'm still excited you're going to do something you're going to love and have fun at. And who knows, like we might also have connections there. And so like I could call up my friend Melanie and be like, oh my gosh, you have an incredible candidate coming your way. Stole them from me, but they're great. And so, yeah, just stay in touch with us. But yeah, keep it simple, be nice.
I would also say make sure that you're like following the guidelines of what is being set. I think that's the only time feelings do get hurt. I remember last year, someone was very selective of when they'd answer the phone and like kept blowing me off and kept like not responding within 24 hours and kept saying like, yes, I'm waiting because of this and like this is going on. And then at the end ended up declining the position. And it's tough because my feelings won't be hurt unless I feel like it's been made personal. And like in that moment, it did feel personal. Like I have been really advocating for you. I've been doing everything that you've asked me to. And then, you're not following the stipulations that were for this position and for the ACUHO-I process. I know that it's tough. I know that like sometimes there are decisions that need to take more time. But I think if you're transparent with that, that's fine. It's more of like when, you just keep blowing a host off that really starts to affect your relationship with them. And similarly, I don't think any of us would do the negatives, but like I think that like it can have a broader impact whether you want it to or not, of like if you really are mistreating a host site. Host sites are very well connected within their states, and sometimes within the like entire nation. And like, when you want to apply back, you have to think about like, did I gracefully back out of that? Right. I'm big on being told like, no, this isn't right for me because of this, or, this other institution was better. Great. Love that. Happy for you. Great job. But like, don't tell me that you need 48 hours. I give that to you. And then you tell me like, oh, I'm not going to answer your phone calls. And so I think that is tough. And so I would say that's how to not gracefully turn down the offer, which I'm recognizing is the opposite of that question, but I just am trying to be transparent of like, that does hurt my feelings. And my feelings can't be hurt very often. But that is the tough part for us.
I want to just chime in on something you mentioned, the part where it's like, oh, like I'm really struggling to make this decision. You might not have mentors in the field or friends you can fall back on. And so I say, don't feel bad asking us. Like if we've called and made you an offer and you're struggling, I'm more than willing to help you weigh the pros and cons, even the cons against my own institution. And if you find that an institution just like isn't willing to do that, it could kind of be a sign like, okay, this might not be someone who truly cares about like the candidate. And that might be a harsh thing to say, but I want the success for all candidates no matter where they go. And so I think that's something you could kind of pick up on like coded language, if they're not really interested in helping you weigh those pros and cons.
I would also ask, and this, I'm not saying every institution can do this, but this is something we're gonna trial run this year. Knock on wood that it goes well. Is asking if there's anyone that they can talk to besides the host, that is able to make the offer, right? We do reference checks on our candidates, at least UT Austin does. I am going to give candidates, here are my references. Here are the individuals that I supervised last year. They're willing to have a conversation with you to help you make that decision. And right now, they don't work here. I'm trying to recruit them back. But right now they don't work here. And so they can give you a completely unbiased opinion. And I'm not coaching them in any way because now I have like no authority over them at their old schools. But like, I think that is something you can ask. Sometimes schools aren't able to do that because they're running a little bit of a different process. But they may have other individuals within their housing program, within their department, that they're able to like point you to, and be able to say like, this is a good person for you to start connecting with. And so I think that like that's a cool opportunity to ask. Because you're right, like Thomas, like I give people my negative, I give them like, here's the list of things that like will be the challenge while you are here. I'm willing to share that because I don't want candidates to feel like I've pulled, the wool over their heads. And so I think it's important to do that.
I think the biggest one all around is honestly, any communication is totally fine. What I think gets really difficult as a host is when there's just nothing, when it's just like crickets. Um, because did you get busy? Did you miss my call? Did you really want to hear from me, but you lost your phone and now you can't? Because I think on how really you are like, we're imagining you here for the summer and all the fun things we're gonna do. And so I think we all hold out hope, right? That like maybe you just dropped your phone. Maybe you got really busy. Maybe I went to spam. So any communication is much more graceful than ghosting. So to use the current term, right? And I think to think big picture here, right? There's a lot of critique in the field about employers ghosting candidates and different things like that. This is an opportunity as a candidate to show what you expect from employers by being the change you want to see in the world, to go ahead and just go right there with it. So, if you expect good communication from employers, be that candidate who is communicative with your host sites and with the places that you want to go, because a no now doesn't mean a no forever. Because if I like you a lot, I'm going to keep searching you out every time I hear you might be in the job market. So, yeah.
I would also say, like I said, the timeline, be realistic with your timeline. Like when I did my search, it was perfectly, poor little Spencer and ACUHO-I have to like try to find the best timeline they can. But like it was right during OPE, the Oshkosh Placement Exchange, and I was going on behalf of Texas Tech to get people. And so I had to be realistic with the schools. And I was like, listen, I'm not going to answer at noon because I'm going to be in the middle of an interview. It's going to be the most distracted I am. So I'm going to try not to stare at my phone because the person that's the manager of recruitment is going to kill me if I take out my phone to see if people called. And I also can't make a decision because I have no time because I'm thinking about these candidates that we're interviewing to really think about it. And so be realistic with your timeline. If there's something big going on, you can tell host sites like, hey, this is big and I want to make sure that I'm giving you my full undivided attention.
All right. I'm gonna jump us over to our very last slide, which is, what questions do you all have that haven't already been addressed or that you want to expand upon from the committee or from the group of panelists here? You can drop it in the chat. Oh, wonderful. Okay. I'm so sorry. I saw I just saw the chat, so kudos to me here. So one of the questions in the chat is that the NOTA process allows employers to call on the 6th and gives 24 hours to make a decision. So any recommendations on how to navigate that when the ACUHO-I process doesn't allow offers to go out until the 8th?
That's tough. That's again another, so sorry, Spencer, that you are going to get this, right? I think it's being realistic of like, if you get a no to offer on the 6th and you truly think that that is going to be the best, by all means, tell them yes. I think a lot of NOTA schools would understand if you ask for a 48-hour time period to evaluate your options based on the ACUHO-I process. Because I think NOTA and ACUHO-I are well aware of each other and well aware that they're running a very similar process at the exact same time. And so asking a school if they're willing to make that offer, they may say no because they want to make sure that they are continuing in their pool. But I don't think that there is a problem asking for that additional time. And it may not be actually like, if on the 8th, they're able to make you an offer in the evening, you may not need the full 48 hours. You may need just until our process begins to really make your decision. That's what I would say, but I don't know.
Feel free if you any questions from anyone. All right. Well, if you do have any that you maybe didn't get answered here, or want to reach out, Spencer's email is on this slide, and you can certainly reach out to Spencer. He can connect you with lots of information. He has a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of information, but if there's anything that Spencer can't answer, he can certainly pass it over to the internship committee. And we did have Lauren join us. Lauren's our chair. She's been doing amazing this year, and we're so happy to have her as chairing the committee for the process. So, all right. Well, with that, a gift of 8 minutes back, and I'm not going to click anything because I'm really doing a grand job of that at this point. So thank you all so much for spending time with us. I really appreciate it. And I wish you all the very best on offer day. Set up your voicemail. Set up your voicemail. So thank you all so much. I appreciate it.